Welcome back to the data storytelling module of the Digital Passport to Youth Leadership. In our last session, we explored the fundamentals of data storytelling and how combining data with narrative can make information more relatable and impactful. Today, we are going to take the next step, crafting your own data story. This involves three crucial components. First, identify your audience. Second, defining your key message. Finally, building the narrative arc. First, we're going to see the importance of knowing your audience. Why identify your audience? First, because it helps you tailor your message effectively. You know how to tell, the examples to make, the language to use to that audience in order to make an impactful message, more relatable. Secondly, increase engagement and impact, as I was saying. Finally, it ensures relevance to audience needs. It goes directly to their needs, to the way they want to hear it, and the data they need and the stories are more likely to be more relatable to them and more likely to take action. Well, in order to know our audience, we have to understand our audience. So we have to consider to make these questions. First, who are they? Are they community members? Are they policymakers? Are they investors? Are they peers? What are their interests and concerns for each of them? What is the level of understanding? What do they value? Facts and figures, emotional stories, practical solutions? Well, now that we have a better understanding which is our audience, because we were using the question before, and we can tailor our message to different stakeholders. If we are tailoring our message to community members, we have to use simple language, relatable examples, and focus on daily impact. On the other hand, if we are addressing to policymakers, we should highlight policy implications, of course. We have to make to be more pragmatic. We have to show data supporting change. And finally, we have to do clear recommendations. Now, if we are talking to investors or donors, it's all about the resources they are that put in our project. So we have to demonstrate the impact that it's going to have. We have to demonstrate the return of their investment. And finally, we have to put in place success metrics, how we are going to measure success in our project. That's very important, guys. And finally, if we are showing this to peers or colleagues, we could use detailed analysis, encourage collaboration because we want to help. And finally, we could use technical language because they are peers. They know our language and they are related to all the terminology. Now we are going to define our key message. First, we have to understand what is a key message and why it's important. So, what is a key message? It is the central idea of our data story. It is the main takeaway for our audience. And why is this important? Because that key message provides focus and clarity. We are stripping away all the unnecessary information and we are committing to one key message, right? We wanted to make a clear impact. We want to be succinct. It also guides our narrative. And finally, it enhances memorability. Remember in our lesson number one, we were talking about we want to be this message to be memorable and to be relatable, and finally take action. Now, how to distill data into clear, concise message? Your key message is the central idea you want your audience to remember, right? So in order to define, we use a three-step process. First, we analyze our data. We look for significant trends, patterns, or anomalies. We have to identify it. Then we move to determine the significance. We ask, so what? That determines why this data matters and what implication it has, why it is important. What that data we have already analyzed and identified is important to our narrative. And finally, we simplify. We strip away unnecessary details to focus on one core insight. Remember, we want to be clear, concise, and succinct to be impactful. Here we have an example of defining a key message. If we see the data inside the data only, it says, over the past 5 years, there has been a 25% decrease in local youth literacy rates. If we translate that into a key message, it would say something like this. Urgent action is needed to address the declining literacy rates among our youth. This is a more powerful, it conveys the sense of urgency, and also it goes to our emotions. So it's easier for the reader, the audience, to relate and take action. Which is the role of the key message in guiding your story? Your key message acts as a compass for your data story because it provides focus, clarity, and memorability. Focus keeps your narrative aligned and prevent going off topics because we have all this data and it's easy to go off topic. We can lose focus. Secondly, clarity helps your audience grasp the main point quickly. Yeah, you are showing why is that important, why that single key message is important, which is the impact you want to make. And lastly, memorability. Increase likelihood of audience remembering and acting. Ensure that every element of your story supports and reinforces your key message. It has to serve that purpose. Now we're going to see how to build the narrative arc. Elements of a compelling narrative are beginning, middle, and end. Every good story follows that structure, right? So at the beginning, which is the setups, we introduce the context and present the situation or problem. For example, in our town, access to healthy food options is limited, affecting many families. In Act 2, middle or confrontation, we present data that highlights challenges or explores the issue deeper. Example, data shows that 60% of neighborhood lacks a grocery store within a 5-mile radius. Now we move to the end of resolution, the third act. Offer solutions, a call to action, or project future outcomes. Example, by supporting local farmers, we can improve access to fresh produce and enhance community health. This is a compelling story. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end, right? So at the beginning, we set the scene, present the situation. In the middle, we highlight the issue using data and deepen understanding. This is the same example we saw before. In the end, we offer solution or call to action. We suggest a way to address that issue, project, future outcomes. Here the example, to repeat it again, by supporting local farmers, we can improve access to fresh produce and enhance community health. Using data to support your story's arc. In the beginning, we use statistics to set the scene. Example, according to recent surveys, 40% of youth feel disconnected from community activities. Then in the middle, we incorporate visuals like charts or graphs to illustrate the problem. An example would be display a graph showing the decline in youth participation over time. And in the end, we highlight the potential impacts or success stories. Example, share data for a neighborhood community where youth engagement increased participation by 30%. Remember, your narrative should guide the audience through your data in a way that is logical and emotionally engaging. Tips for creating a compelling narrative. Make it relatable, use familiar examples, maintain the logical flow, ensure each part leads naturally to the next. It has to be a flow, it has to be natural, it has to make sense. And in the end, it has to evoke emotion. It has to connect to real life experience. So that's why if we use real life stories, testimonials, along with data and narrative, graphs, and, and illustration, it can create a compelling narrative. So this is the summary of the key points of this lesson. Today, we have identified our audience. Understanding who they are and what they can care about allows us to tailor our message effectively. We have learned to define our key message, distilling our data into clear, concise statements that guides you your entire story. Finally, we have learned how to build the narrative arc, how to structure our story with a beginning, middle, and end to keep our audience engaged. As you begin crafting your own data stories, keep these elements in mind. In our next lesson, we'll focus on visualizing our data. We will explore how to choose the right types of visualizations and apply design's principle to make our data both clear and compelling. Visuals are powerful tools in data storytelling. They can enhance understanding and retention of our key message. So this is some points to reflect, to think about. You can see it as a small homework. Let's think about of our data story we want to tell. Who is our audience? What is our key message? How will you structure your narrative? Thank you for your participation today, and I am excited to see you in the next lesson. See ya!